Today we have with us Samir Dubey sir. He is here to guide us about career in music. He is a professional vocalist in Hindustani classical tradition. He completed his MA in political science and also in music. He is a university lecturer in music and also head of department of music section in film. Start with a very basic question. Many students think that they love music and they know it quite well. So, what guidance you will give to those students who want to pursue career in music? I mean, full-time career in music.
To begin with, knowing music has to happen on 4 levels. One is the skill level, second one is the information, third level is of knowledge, and fourth is insight. To be able to do music as a career, you need to have at least first 3 levels well within your control. That of skill, information and knowledge. By skill I mean basic biological things that happen when you sing. You need to look at your posture, breathing and vocalization. These are the 3 basic things you have to learn. Then in case of Indian music, you also talk of the musical notes, their relative places in the saptak and all the related issues are part of the training. In the information, you learn a few songs, then you learn some alankars, and you learn some rag structures, and that creates a kind of a bank of information. At the level of knowledge, you start understanding the relationship between the pieces of information you have, and that relationship is many a times causal relationship. Many a times you understand uh, the movement of the tonal structures that you are learning, and that all requires a lot of analytical capabilities. Unless you have all these three, it is very difficult to make a choice of music as a career. And if you are fortunate to uh, learn from a good guru, then you may also attain the level of having an insight into music. By and by, when you start practicing music as a career, it is quite possible that you will end up getting some insight into it. But to begin with, you need to have these 3 levels well within your control. Then only you can perhaps think of music as a career option. So knowing music, if somebody says, I know music very well, what does it mean? That would determine the consequences that would follow.
What type of formal training students should take when they decide to do a full-time career in music?
When someone decides to take music as a full-time career, there are 3 ways of learning music. One is going to a vidyalaya and learning from a teacher. The second option is learning in a university to take up music as a degree program. And the third option is the option of learning music with a guru in the Guru Shishya tradition. We also have a model in India now where you have a formalized institutional structure of learning music in Guru Shishya tradition, where gurus are taken care of by an organization. They are very well paid, they are taken care of, and they are supposed to teach music and music only to their selected students. If you want to take up music as a career, my suggestion is that since I have been fortunate enough to learn in all the 3 models, and I would say that I know reasonably well the advantages and disadvantages of these systems. In the Vidyalaya system, what you can learn really well is the skill part and also a little bit of information. At the university level, what happens is, unfortunately, in today's university system, learning music as a degree program entails a situation where you would find that the teachers themselves are not really motivated enough. Teachers find it really a task that they shouldn't be doing, and if a teacher is not passionate, then teaching learning process is hampered. But university setup has its own advantage in terms of the infrastructure available, in terms of the funding that universities can generate, in terms of performing opportunities that the students can get, and also the kind of resources that the universities have. And so learning in a university in a music degree or postgraduate program would help the student of music to really um, have a solid foundation in the theory part as well. Um, Thereby, I mean to be able to refer to the library, read books, which we hardly do. And we have really good books in the university libraries. But see, as my Guruji Dr. Ranade used to say, that we treat books as the incarnation of gods. So we keep them in the Devara, as they call it. We never open them. But if you want to really learn in a university setup, it is better if you uh, read a lot, because that would provide you with an with an ample knowledge bank that is available. In Guru Shishya Parampara, the dynamics of teaching learning is at a very different level. If you really want to become a good musician, that to a performer, the only way available today is to be with the guru for at least at least 10 to 12 years. We do not have a prescribed syllabus in a Guru Shishya tradition. We do not have a structured course in Guru Shishya tradition. But we have a very intense learning of the matter and the manner of music making that we have. And in Guru Shishya tradition, what is important is not only the time frame you spend with the Guru, but how intensely you stay with the Guru. So even if I am unable to be with the Guru 24/7, even if I see him every day for say 3 hours only, but if those 3 hours are really intense, that is going to take me a long way into the learning of the skill set that is required to become a good performer. So combination of all the three systems would put you in a situation of advantage as far as the choice of career is concerned. And if I choose music to as one of my important choices of career, then I should look for learning in all the three available models. As far as my experience is concerned, my learning with initially with Pandit Rambhau Mate was phenomenal, because he is such a good teacher and he even teaches today. He is now 85 years old and still he has a wait list in his Vidyalaya. So people are queuing up to learn from him. And then I was fortunate to learn from two really great masters. One was Pandit Jitendra Abhisheki ji and then Dr. Ashok Ranade. The performing nuances and performing techniques and the performing behavior of an artist is something which I really learnt a lot about from Pandit Jitendra Abhisheki ji. And as far as the analytical abilities are concerned, the conceptual clarity is concerned, the conceptual framework formulation is concerned, this is something which Dr. Ranade was an amazing person in this field. And he has been the pioneer in the field of ethnomusicology and study of music and culture in India. So I was fortunate to be with him for over 10 years and with Abhishek Bua for over a period of 11 years. And that is a very peculiar situation as far as India is concerned. When we are talking about teaching and learning experience, we always talk in terms of a tapa. We do not talk in terms of a 6 months course or 1 year course or 3 year course. We talk of a tapa. That is a period of 12 years minimum. So that is how that much of input is required if you really want to master this kind of art.
Which are the different options available in music field for a full-time career?
Options are many. One has to decide depending upon one's own abilities and limitations, and uh, let me narrate to you an anecdote which I had experienced with my Guruji, Dr. Ranade. It was our first day of a workshop with him, and he asked all of us, "Why do you sing?" And each one of us were reasonably good singers from Mumbai and from Pune, and we all started wondering what kind of question this is. We sing because we are singers. What else can be the reason? So we kept on talking about this and that, and Dr. Ranade, in his marvelous way, kept on smiling at us. And at a point, he intervened and said, "Why each one of you is lying to me? Why don't you tell me the truth?" And then we said, "Sir, please let us let us finish this. You tell us why we are singing." And there he gave us an amazing insight by saying that you sing because you will to sing, with W capital. You want to sing, therefore you sing. If you don't want to sing, if you don't will to sing, nobody in this world, as we say in Marathi, Brahmadevacha baap ala tari. Even if the creator of the world comes down to earth and asks you to sing, you will not sing. We were very, we were very relaxed and happy to know that we are singing because we want to sing. It's our will that is governing our action. Then Dr. Ranade warned us that this sounds very fantastic to listen, that you sing because you will to sing, but that again has a consequence. And the consequence is, the moment you say that I sing because I want to sing, who is responsible for the good, the bad, the ugly that might happen with that choice? That might happen with me as a musician. That might happen with me and my career in music. And suddenly we realize that it entails an immense responsibility on our part. If I say that I want to take up music as a career, then first I have to check whether I have that will. Will to survive, will to sustain, will to update one's own self all the time. If that is there, then there are options are plenty. Normally, if you look at music as a field, you will find that being a performing artist is considered to be the most choiced career. But as everyone is aware, becoming a performing artist alone is very, very difficult as an option, for a simple reason that the economics just doesn't work. For surviving in today's post-liberalization economy, in a city like Pune or Mumbai or Delhi or Kolkata or Chennai or Bengaluru, or for that matter even the new urban centers that are coming up in all the states, the minimum cost for living has gone up. Even though the earning opportunities have also gone up, but the minimum cost is very high. So becoming only a performer and not doing anything else is a difficult option. But if you have that kind of training and that kind of temperament, you may choose to do that. Then comes the option, if you look at the career options that are available in music, there is a hierarchy, that is perceived hierarchy, I would say. It's a perceived hierarchy, it's a perception of people. Being a performer is the highest state of honor, perhaps. Then comes the being a professor in a university. Then comes an option of becoming a teacher of music in a school. Then comes the option of becoming a private tutor, where you go from house to house to teach your students. Then comes other options like in the field of other kinds of music, that is commercial singing, jingles, giving a playback. But all this requires a lot of training and a lot of contacts and other issues which are non-musical issues. But the options are there. There is also an option of becoming a sound recordist or a sound designer. There is also an option of becoming a good critique of music. as Dr. Ranade used to say, that the criticism of music is yet to be born in India. For a simple reason that what we read as criticism is nothing but a commentary or the description of the musical event. There is hardly any analysis. Because to analyze a musical experience, you need to be trained well into that genre. And that is not happening. So that is a big area where you can make a good career option. You require people who are good art managers. Art and artist management is a big area of career. If you are really good at managing things, if you are really good at mobilizing resources, you have a good career option that is available. So there are so many options that one can look at. Before making an option, I would also like to bring to your notice that music, when you talk about music, please bear in mind that Indian music does not mean Indian classical music alone. As Dr. Ranade again eloquently used to put it in a perspective of 6 categories of music, namely, starting from primitive music, then to folk music, then to religious music, then to popular music, then to art music or the classical music, and the confluence music. These 6 categories are very, very important. All these categories have career options available. I mean, if you take an example of popular music, it starts from, the kind of music that one finds in popular music as a category includes the doorbells, the ringtones, the reverse horns, the jingles, the non-filmy songs, the film songs. All this comes under the category of popular music. So one can pick and choose whatever skill set one has and go in for an opportunity that is available. The only word of caution is that no opportunity, especially in field of music, could be permanent. It is not like a bank job, 9 to 5 job. It's a constantly happening place, and one has to be very aware and alert to be able to grab the opportunity. And as they say, opportunity comes, but you need to be aware. Opportunity knocks your door, and if you say that who is disturbing me now, then your opportunity is lost. So these are the options available, and depending upon one's own skill set, one can pick and choose.
Oh, awareness among students can be increased about good music and bad music. How they should choose?
As I've said earlier, in the 6 categories that Dr. Ranade mentioned in his formulation of the totality of music in India, there has always been a good music and bad music. People have always chosen from the options that are available. When it comes to making a career option, making a choice about a career, then what kind of music you like really doesn't matter. But what kind of skill sets and what kind of training you are bound to take if you want to get into music, that becomes very, very important. And there is a general concern that if you play back classical music today, the young kids are not really interested. They are interested more into film music and the new modern music that is available. To me, this is a good phenomenon. What is the problem? I mean, the fact that the film music caters to all kinds of senses and deals with the comprehensiveness of the experience, it is bound to have more appeal. And having greater reach in terms of the number of people is the hallmark of film music. Films have been an expression of the collective cultural ethos. We have this tradition of singing and acting and with a costume and all this put together. It has always been a comprehensive experience. So having a great following to film music, or the young students showing more interest in film music is not a cause of worry, because if they want to get into this field, they would have to come back to the conventional traditional teaching learning methods that are used and that are time tested. And then there is no shortcut when it comes to training in music. I mean, once in one of my workshops that I conduct for the listeners of music, incidentally, that is also a career option that one can look for. That you train your own consumers in the language of new age, post liberalization scenario. That I train my own listeners. So in such a workshop, one gentleman asked me that why is it that you people are learning for 20, 25 years, 30 years, and you still say that not much has been achieved. Why it takes so much of time? You don't seem to be a slow learner. You don't seem to be a challenged person. As in case of an engineer or a doctor, you have a given time frame, and at the end of which you become a doctor, you become an engineer. But for a musician, it seems to be taking a bit longer and longer, and in fact, it sounds endless. It sounds as if you would be learning for the entire life. Why is it so? Then the answer that I gave is as follows. The answer is, can you declare one fine morning that I am 50 years old? You can't. You have to live actually 50 years. That means 15 to 365 days on this planet Earth to say that I am 50 years old. It's like growing up. So learning music is like growing up. You cannot make it happen quickly. So there is no shortcut when it comes to learning in music. Learning may be skill, information, knowledge, and having an insight. At any level, the learning has no shortcut. So liking is a level of understanding of music, a perception of music. But when you have to convert that liking into a career option, then there is no shortcut. Then the training is essential, and training plays a vital role.
How students should prepare for the hardships in this journey?
First, let me clarify that hardships is a part of life. It's not unique to music. It's not exclusive to the field of music. But the nature of hardships is slightly different. First and foremost, as my first guru, Pandit Jitendra Abhisheki ji, used to say, that if you are comfortable with the situation that your 1 lakh rupees would be converted into 12,000 rupees, लाखाचे 12,000 होतील. If you are comfortable with this situation, then only enter into field of music. Because a kind of ruthlessness is required to survive in the field of music. And this ruthlessness has got nothing to do with the being unemotional or detached. But this ruthlessness is about your own self. Being able to whip yourself all the time. Being able to say that, boss, this is not the end of the world. You need to improve upon yourself all the time. Being a performer, being a teacher, being an interpreter of music, being a commentator of music, you be in any field, being in the technology and music, even if you have made a career option of being an instrument maker in music, all these areas would require constant update. Update of skills, update of information, update of knowledge, and also that adds to the update in insight. So you have to be ready for that. You have to be doing your own practice riyaz every day without fail. That is a prerequisite, and that is very hard, mind you. Being consistent in the riyaz or practice is very, very difficult. For a simple reason that doing riyaz means doing the same thing again and again. And we do not like to do same thing again and again. We get bored. And in this today's very fast-paced world, repetitions are not really interesting to the children. So you need to devise and design and evolve new strategies to tackle this problem. And then, the hardship also then takes you to the area of the economics that is related to this field. There is no certainty that you would be earning enough money all the time, all through your life. There is no pension. There is no gratuity. There is nobody to look after you after you decide to retire from this field. So, an artist earns for today and tomorrow. You have to keep this in mind and decide how much money you would charge for your services. Thirdly, a very different hardship that comes in this field is the inflated ego of the artist. And because of the today's tremendous exposure in media and tremendous opportunities that the media is giving to new talents, unfortunately, that has created a perception that being able to get an entry onto television means career wise you are on the right track, which may not be true. Because when you say that I'm opting music as a career, to me a very simple definition is that for the next 4 decades at least, for next 40 years, I should have music as my occupation, vocation and profession. So for that, one appearance on television or couple of appearances on television are not sufficient. And there you really require to be focused, be alert, and be ready to wait for the right opportunity. And when the opportunity comes, you have to grab it. When you become a reasonably good performer, what happens is your ego starts getting inflated. That ego may kill your future opportunities. That ego might take you in a direction which is not desirable. So, many a times, as my Guruji used to tell me, that when you have a great concert, what you have to do, you come back and listen to your Guruji's recording. That brings you back on earth. That keeps you grounded. And that really helps you cut down your ego, if at all. And that's a hard thing to do. If I think that I'm a great singer, that's the end of it. So the hardships are of a different nature. And one more very peculiar hardship that the artists who are serious and sincerely doing music is that they tend to become lonely. They are so engrossed and so focused, and they are so engaged with their music alone that they tend to forget friends and family and people around them. And that's a big issue. That's a big issue. And that's a hardship one has to deal with. You will find there are artists who really are alone all the time. They can't enjoy company of their colleagues, their peers, their school friends at times, because there is a disconnect. The kind of engagement they are having with the music takes them away from the other worldly connections that might exist. And that's a hard thing to digest, that's a hard thing to experience. But then one has to learn to live in this world, and artists are very good learners, so they learn to deal with this kind of hardships.
In your previous answer, you told us about the media exposure. My last question is related with it. Considering this media exposure, which precautions students should take while entering in this field?
First and foremost, media exposure is deceptive. It creates an illusion of success, but it is not there. What maximum the media exposure can do is identify a potential talent. Yes, that is a contribution of media today. Media has identified really good talents, but nurturing of that talent, taking it to a level where they can sustain their talent as a bank and build a career on it is yet to be attained. It's not done. I mean, winning one or two competitions on the television cannot make you a successful musician, cannot make you able to take up music as a career. Otherwise, so quickly the winners go in oblivion and still they don't realize that this is so temporary. So that is a big problem of mindset, and I think there the parents are to be blamed many a times. I mean, I would say most of the times, because they are the ones who sign the contracts with the channels. So they need to be aware that this is not end. This might be the beginning of the career of the talent. So you have to be very, very cautious in understanding that being a successful musician or doing a successful career in the field of music requires a lot more than a mere media exposure, an opportunity to perform in front of a live audience on a television set is is very temporary. It might be a step in the right direction, but then there is a lot to follow, and unless you take those steps, making a career in music is not an option you should look for.
Today, Samir sir came here and gave us very much useful information for career in music. This information is really very much inspiring. Thank you, sir, for coming here.
Thank you.